Thank you so much, Dr. Deepak Sahu, and thank you, dear audience, for joining us today and allowing us an opportunity to connect with all of you over here and share some of the things that we believe can be useful to you, your families, and the people whom you are connected to in the business perspective. So a couple of things. I hope my screen is visible. The things are there currently in your view. Now, one thing that I'll talk about myself. I'm working as a product specialist right now for Microsoft India, and I'm basically my specialty is in deploying the right kind of tools and technologies for different sectors. So be it commercial, be it education, or any specific commercial segment, IT, military, or state government. So I've worked with a couple of state governments as well. I have delivered a lot of keynotes in US, UK, Netherlands, and other parts of the world. And one thing that I try to tell is what just Rohit has shown. And that is one of the most beautiful demos that I have seen. And thank you so much, Rohit, for actually enlightening us on what are the things and what are the challenges that can happen. I understand that what you shared was a bit technical. So all of us might not have related to the things, but what you have showed is actually the base of what happens at the back end. Now, one thing that I'll talk about is what is the current landscape in India? What are the things that are happening? Okay, so first thing is the world is actually going through a lot of changes. There are a lot of changes in terms of the way we work, in terms of what we are doing, what we are thinking of, what our priorities are. In our personal lives, we are doing everything virtually now. So right from our children learning on online classes, we watching movies and entertainment shows, any kind of internet shopping, the bill payments, different kind of other transactions that we are doing, they are all being done virtually. And this pandemic, what it has done actually for all of us in India, I'm hearing a lot of background noise at some people's end. So if in case you are not doing anything, you can just mute yourself. Thank you so much. So now what we are doing is we are going hybrid, we are going virtual, we are going online, we are doing work remotely through our homes, different locations. We are not going to offices directly. We are going sometimes and sometimes not. But these are actually, this is actually posing multiple challenges to all the people, to all the businesses whom we are connected to. And this is one of the most important things that we think are of importance for us today to understand. Now, moving forward, I'll show you this particular slide in front of you. And this is actually one of the most important things that you can see in today's task, in today's world. Some bank servers being hacked for 12 crores, 84 crores. In fact, there was a quote from our late CDS, General Bipin Rawat, who said that during the pandemic, the cyber crimes have gone up by 500%. And that's a massive, massive raise. It's a massive rise in the number of cyber attacks that are happening. Even Interpol report that you see at the right-hand side, it says the same about cyber attacks after COVID-19. And it's just not in the banks and in certain private institutions, which we call as big tech. SMBs or small and medium businesses, which constitute somewhere around 88% businesses in India, they are also being targeted with multiple security threats like ransomware, malware, different kind of viruses, keyloggers, and all those stuff. Now, if you see in these red highlighted portions, you can see that there are multiple things that are happening, right from extortion, digital extortion, ransomware, malware injection, and utilizing somebody's systems resources for own data mining purposes by the cyber criminals. All of this is happening right now. And unfortunately in India, right now, the situation is that we see less than what is actually the scenario. We are mostly unaware or untouched by the perils of cybersecurity that are currently the world is facing. In fact, we are just seeing that there is a war going on right now. And the first thing that the countries did to each other was destroy their networks with the cyber attacks. And this is where you understand what is important right now for the world to understand. What you see in front of you is a checklist by government of India, specifically Meity, and they have ensured this checklist to be followed for any kind of applications that are being developed. Okay. And this is just one page of a 4-page checklist that is being referred or referenced by Meity. Are these being followed? Are these being implemented across? Definitely not. And this is one of the most important things that we have to understand. We are living in a digital world also. We have a digital copy of ourselves where right everything from our likes to where do we eat our favorite food, to where do we watch the movies, what kind of movies we watch, and what are our preferences in terms of the political agenda. Everything is there on internet. And it becomes very, very important for all of us to ensure that this is protected, which unfortunately we don't do. In fact, if you do a random search on internet on what are the top 10 security passwords in India, you will be surprised. The first password is password itself. And then comes admin 123, then comes your Om Sairam 123, and all these God's names and my own name and date of birth, which can be easily tracked from social media. And unfortunately, this is the reality we are living in. And this is where we have to be aware, not just for ourselves and our businesses, but also for our children. Because what we are going to do, what we are going to follow is going to be taken over with the next generation. Now, what you see are the top 4 cyber threats in India. What I think most of us are aware about are malware, ransomware, drive-by downloads, but there is something called as cryptocurrency mining as well. And that is on a massive, massive raise. Specifically now, I think most of us have heard about cryptocurrency, right? Unfortunately, what is happening is we are not too much focused on these perils of cybersecurity. And unfortunately, this loophole is being targeted by the cyber criminals right now. You just heard the term dark web. In fact, what we see on internet, take all the social media, all the email websites, all the websites that you have visited up till now, and those will constitute less than 5%. Rest of the 95% is what we call as deep web and dark web. And dark web is a place where all sort of illegal things happen. Means you can think of any illegal thing, and that is happening on your dark web. And that becomes very core for us to understand how we are being targeted by these cyber threats, including malware, ransomware. And at the right hand side, if you can see, this is actually a screenshot from one of the ransomwares, which actually talks what kind of consequences the businesses can face. Now, you can see that the ransom that is being asked is in digital currency, which unfortunately cannot be tracked. And these are the worlds that we are living in. Ransom and digital currency, in case if you want to understand, there are a whole lot of different things. And I do motivate you, I would request you to in fact go to internet and search about cryptocurrency mining, because in fact, if it is not targeting the resources, your data, your internet banks, it is targeting the machines on which you are working on. And this becomes very important. Now, in India, we have this one attitude that it's not for me. ये मेरे लिए नहीं है. ये तो उन businesses के लिए, उन लोगों के लिए जो बहुत ज़्यादा transactions करते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा काम करते हैं. So for me, I am okay. I just do some bit of social media. I just do a bit of emailing and just a bit of communication with my office colleagues. That's it. Now, unfortunately, this is the biggest loophole. I just told you about the passwords. Now, another thing that you can see is the people who are being targeted are not these big techs, because they invest a lot in their cybersecurity. They pay in billions to generate something called as the highest prime number. And what this does is they become more secure compared to what these SMBs are. So these small and medium businesses, which constitute 88% in India, they are actually affected. And so much so to the fact that you can see 92% of SMBs were targeted last year in 2021. When I say last year, it was just 2021. And just to remind you, 2021 was the time when people were actually sitting in their homes. They were trying to understand what are the challenges. At these times, cybersecurity people were really active. And you can see small and medium businesses, 3 in 4 SMBs in India were affected, resulting in 85% loss of customer information, which is considered as very sensitive. And this is not going to stop at any particular point of time. You might be hearing terms like NFTs, blockchain. You might be hearing, you have already heard about cryptocurrency. All of these are going to increase. Now, there is another term where we are talking about metaverse. Metaverse is a digital world where we will be taking our digital identity and we'll be talking to people, we'll be doing businesses, transactions, we'll be purchasing digital land, and we'll be investing in it. So this is not going to stop. This is going to increase. So what can we do? What is it that we suggest? So security challenges are many. In fact, if you take the data points, there are multiple security threats that we have. So 80% of managers say that they expect more flexible work from home policies after the pandemic. And employees want best of both worlds. 73% of employees want flexible remote work options. And at the same time, they want to work collaboratively as well. So I want to work at my own time. And 67% of employees say, I want to work, even though I want to work separately, I want to work with my colleagues on different projects, on different work. So this is a paradox. And this is strange. And in fact, this is where the security challenges actually come forward. And how much of security challenges are there? So if you can see this particular data point, so a phishing study that was conducted by Microsoft and Terra Nova, it said that 25% of employees clicked on a link, which is a phishing simulation. That means if everyone in a 200% company received the same phishing link, almost 50% or 50 people would have clicked on it. On top of that, in the same study, 71% of those same employees proceeded to give away their passwords unintentionally. And just think of the damage that this can cause to these businesses. My whole business, the customer list, the client list, the invoices that I have made can be actually there on internet, which can be bought for $1, 50, 60 rupees, just a meager amount of this. And in addition to this, Microsoft actually blocked over 13 billion malicious suspicious mails, out of which more than 1 billion were just URLs set up for explicit purpose of launching a phishing credential attack so that they can steal your password. And statistics like these actually show that in the world of hybrid work, businesses need to be increasingly vigilant about their information. And there are multiple reports. You can refer to the sources which I have attached in the slide, or you can just do a random internet search. This will lead you. So what this motivated us to do, when I say us, Microsoft, in terms of the products and solutions, so we did a couple of things. So first, we have something called as zero trust security now in our products, specifically Windows 11, which is just launched. Now, with zero trust approach, a zero trust model is based on the premise that no user or device anywhere can have access until safety is verified. And that was what Rohit shared earlier. So any victim machine can be targeted just by sharing corrupt binary or cookies. This can be done easily. Now, apart from it, zero trust mentality is more resilient, it is consistent, and it is responsive to new attacks. And if you look at these three things, verify explicitly. So this principle means always authenticating and authorizing based on all the available data points, including user identity, location, device health, service or workload data classification, and anomalies. Use the least privileged access. This means limiting user access with just in time and just enough access. And third is assuming breach, means operating in a manner that minimizes the potential impact of security breach. This can be accomplished actually by verifying end-to-end encryption and using analytics to get the visibility, drive threat detection, and improve the defenses. So these are a couple of things that we are implementing right now. Another thing that we are trying to do is how do we meet the increased need for agility and resiliency without sacrificing the security. So these are some of the principles that Microsoft follows to ensure that businesses across are not targeted, or at least are least targeted, or are safeguarded against the most common targets that we see. So much so to the fact that we can claim now that Windows is 99.9% secure. So you might have heard about security challenges like WannaCry. Not a single Windows 10 PC across the globe was impacted because of this WannaCry ransomware. And that is a huge achievement for any of the security solutions across. Now, when we talk about security, the built-in security, the one thing that our customers need to understand is Windows 11 and related products are built on zero trust security principle. And we are continuing this to the businesses that we follow, to the businesses that are using this. Now, another thing that I wanted to highlight your attention to is it's not just about one security, like going to a particular website or not installing an application. It is about 360 coverage. How do we cover the security environment in such a way that users are not affected by any of the challenges? So it can be from chip to cloud. It can be with devices which work out of the box, which are enabled by default. How do we customize to meet specific security requirements, and how do we merge it with the existing app and infrastructure? So these are some of the things that we have focused on. Another thing is these are some of the pillars upon which the teams are actually developing new features, new security features, and weaving them around and sewing it in Windows 11. Now, why I'm talking about Windows 11 is because once you use a device, OS, application, and everything, they are all interrelated. The data that you are working on, the websites you are accessing is actually running on a browser, which is installed on an operating system, which is working on a particular chip, which is built or embedded into the hardware. So everything has to be actually taken care of. So how do we do this? One thing is that we are very clear in terms of what are the challenges, what are the things that need to be taken care of specifically for these kind of situations. Windows 11 actually raises the security baseline, and there are multiple challenges in security. So what we have done is we have enabled something called as security by default. Means if you are using Windows 11, before even booting up of the device completely, security would be enabled. So there is no boot sector virus, there is no malware injection that can be done even before the OS launches itself. And generally what happens is we install antiviruses and we are thinking that we are safe and secure. Hamara to kaam ho gaya. One thing that we have to understand is actually antiviruses work on these platforms, these OSs. So they have to be secure first. The applications work on the OSs, so they have to be secure. So we have something called as virtualization based security. We have something called as secured core PCs. Virtualization based security means we use the virtualization capabilities to provide additional protection to the critical subsystems and data. We use secured core PCs to ensure that the identity protection, data protection, hardware and software protection is right there from the time the customer starts the device and boots it up. And all of these things are there covering all the aspects of the device, right from the chip to the data which is stored on cloud. Now, this might feel, okay, we are promoting a couple of things, but it's not so. In fact, if you see globally, one thing everybody's aligned to is 90% of the decision makers actually said in a survey that outdated hardware actually leaves the organizations more open to attacks. And this is where we want to focus for our organization. So this is where you will see hardware is the first place where we are targeting. We are ensuring that there is no damage. There is the least possible amount of damage. So we have included something called as minimum configuration requirement of TPM 2.0. TPM is Trusted Platform Module. So in a layman's language, Trusted Platform Module jo hota hai, what it does is it actually ensures that there is no tweaking or customization in the boot sequence, in the OS sequence, that can trigger any kind of malicious activity which can ultimately hurt the user. So right from the device hardware level, we are ensuring that with the inclusion of TPM 2.0. And in fact, if you have been purchasing devices for past 1 or 2 years, you might be noticing that it is there now in most of the commercial devices by default. Another thing is, how do we ensure this operating system? So we have something called as built-in advanced encryption and data protection with BitLocker. And so much so that not only the devices, the hard disk drive, solid state drive, but also pen drives can be encrypted. So you don't have to worry about how the pen drives would be safe and secure. Your memory cards, external hard drives, network drives can be encrypted using the BitLocker. Another thing is robust network and system security enhancements. So including new DNS and TLS protocol versions, end-to-end protections for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth enhancements, new ways to configure easily and debug quickly with the help of virtual private network and Windows Defender firewall platform, including something called as built-in Windows security, for which the user don't have to pay any sum of money. It is built in Windows 11. It is updated time to time with critical updates, and the user can be free of any kind of headache that they have to update or they have to pay on a yearly basis for a security solution. In fact, we are so much confident that we gave to the topmost security agencies to test Windows security, Windows Defender on Windows devices. After that, it has actually replaced some of the top players like Symantec, Norton, and the built-in security is in fact much better rated for Windows devices now. And you can go on internet, do a random search and look for it. What we request is, if you are using these devices, update with the critical data time to time. Critical update should be there running at all the times. What about the application? So generally we have a habit that as Rohit was saying, so we install counterfeit applications. Now what these counterfeit applications do is, in Hindi there is a word called samajik, I am forgetting that term. Samaj ke liye kaam karne hai, seva karna. These cyber criminals are not doing any kind of samaj seva. They are actually tying up with these black markets. They are injecting codes, malicious codes into these freewares, malwares, and they are offering it freely, putting it up on internet. And what this does is, even if your data is not stolen, your devices, your resources, computing resources are being utilized. So if I'm buying a machine of 16 GB RAM, if I'm paying for 1 GB internet per second, 1 Gbps per second, per minute. So what you will see is when I'm booting up the device, my device works very slowly. It is not working as 16 GB RAM. And when you see the network utilization, the computing utilization, it is being used by some unknown process. What is that unknown process? That unknown process is actually the malicious code that is running at the background, which is using your computing resources for doing the data mining for somebody else, for some cyber criminal. So you are thinking, oh, my system is running perfectly fine. The OS is working fine. The application is working fine. But at the back end, what is happening is your system is not working up to the mark. It's just like paying for a car and having two people sitting at the back every time you are traveling. And you for the rest of the family members, you have to do a cab. It's the same way. And on top of it, how do we safeguard the identity and privacy for the users? How do we ensure that the passwords, the biometrics, in fact, you would see that we are using facial recognition and your fingerprint recognition as well to help the users log in now. This built-in device security can ensure that users can remove password from their Microsoft account, and they can use Microsoft Authenticator app, Windows Hello, and something called as Fast Identity Online Security Key, FIDO. a smart card verification code that can be sent to their phone, like OTP or something, or email. And with this, they can eliminate passwords and they can make their system much more secure in case if they want to. So these things are already there. They are included and by default enabled in Windows 11 devices without any additional cost. When I say without any additional cost, these are built in by default. This is our commitment to the security part. Now, why I'm talking about this so much is because of this particular point, which is the cloud data. हमारा जो ज्यादातर data होता है, that is on cloud. We have a digital copy of all the work, all the tasks, the business, everything on cloud. And this is what is being targeted. So not just the device, but also the data using Azure Active Directory, MDM tools, all different conditional access and compliance tools. We can ensure that the data is safe and secure, and it is there at the time when you want to backup and restore. It is there for the customers. It's just the matter of prioritizing. So what exactly we need to do is we need to ensure what are the things that can be done. So these are a couple of things that I wanted to tell, but this all goes in vain if we install something called as counterfeit on top of it. Okay, so we think, and in fact, this is one of the biggest challenges that we are facing. People get pirated applications and then they invest on security solutions like antiviruses, which is one of the most naive things that I can say. Now, what this happens is, so I am installing all the fancy security cameras at my home to ensure that nobody enters. And I've forgot, no, I've not forgot. In fact, I have, by my own choice, I have ripped open the door and kept it somewhere else, just so that I don't have to pay for the application. And this is where counterfeit actually poses the biggest threat. It creates a backdoor for these cybersecurity, for these cyber criminals, for these operators, so that they can operate or they can make any changes into the domain at any particular point of time. So what can we do? So first thing is we ensure that we do not, if we are worried about the security, we do not activate or use anything which is coming from these dark web and deep web websites. This is one of the most troubling things that we are seeing. What this does is actually posing a threat not just to the devices, but data, different devices that you are working in the same net, and the identity. So you might have heard that people's webcams are being targeted. Sorry. So everything is being targeted because of these cyber criminals. What this actually does for the customer is, as a customer, I think that my system is running on a safe antivirus and it is safe from each and everything. But unfortunately, at the back door, there are open routes which can be used by these malwares, these cyber criminals, for any particular activity, be it data intrusion, malicious activities, or resource mining. So all of that can be done very, very easily. Now, how do you prevent yourself and your businesses? How do you ensure that the people who are associated with you for long term, you give them the right solution? There are multiple things. One thing that I'll tell is the digital crimes are much easier to do than the physical crimes. And all the criminals of the world who are doing any kind of trafficking, be it drug trafficking or anything, they have actually come into the business of this counterfeit, because it is one of the most neglected areas. First, every country does not have the rules to support the IT teams, IT applications for the kind of what to say, punishments that are required on creating these kind of counterfeit copies. And because of this, there are a lot of stuff that can be easily downloaded and used across, and people will never know. So how do you understand that you don't have something which can give you troubles at a later stage? if you are buying from someone, if the price is too good to be true, that is one of the biggest red flags that you can think of. If the software is coming from some kind of file sharing application, some kind of attachment, ensure that you get it checked first in a sandbox. If the keys are sold separately from the software, or if they come in separate bundles where there are multiple keys which you can use, that is one of the most important things to understand. Packaging, if you are buying a particular package, if it doesn't meet the brand guidelines, if you see that it is completely not what you are used to see on the different areas, please make sure and get it checked. Do not overlook. How do you get the kind of key if it is not working in the first time? That is another red flag for you. If the packaging is different, if there are separate files that you need to download to activate that particular application, software, or OS, or if there is a device which is already coming with pre-activated, which is giving you certain messages, you need to ensure to check it for counterfeit. And that is one of the most important things that we can tell for you to get and ensure that you are not running on counterfeit. Now, since one of these things is to ensure that the businesses with whom we are connected to, they do not get affected. These businesses are actually some of the people whom we are connected on day in and out, and we will be connected for multiple years, not just for one or two times. That is why it becomes of prime importance that we do not share anything that can harm these users, that can harm their businesses, and that becomes one of the most important things. Now, what are some of the cybersecurity tips that we can give? So ensure that the devices are up to date. Go private. Do not keep your networks, your devices open. Have passwords, have strong passwords. There are updated passwords that needs to be, there are passwords that needs to be updated time to time. Okay, so we have been using passwords which were created when we were in school. So that should not be the case. Update them every 6 months is what we would recommend. And do not share it to other people and forget about it. If you are sharing it for some purpose, once the work is done, change it immediately. If you are using devices on a network, use only work-related device. Do not connect other devices or untrusted devices of other people onto it. The network that you are using, even if it is on a mobile hotspot, okay, ensure that you are using WPA keys. And genuine is the key here. Whether it is your mobile, your handheld, or the laptop or the PC that you are using, use only genuine. That is one of the key components for us to ensure. Now, how can you figure out what I've just shared? So you can actually go to this website, aka.ms/how-to-tell, to understand how globally you can identify. And for India, we have aka.ms/only genuine. And if you want to understand more about the security points that I was just talking about, so we have something called as Security Intelligence Report, or SIR, www.microsoft.com/SIR. And you can use this very well for your own benefit and for your customers. Now, what we are doing, because I believe there are multiple queries about what Microsoft as a company is doing to ensure that this is not floating across. So we have multiple programs running in the market right now, which is actually some of these are like KPOC, where there is a global online monitoring, enforcement and intelligence. There is an Amazon brand registry where any kind of collaboration with Amazon, the legal team actually takes down the listings by any kind of infringers. We have a GEM campaign. We are sharing advisory letters to the customers, resellers, and everyone who wants to understand what are the risks of non-genuine. We are actually associating with the IT association, and we have a do not engagement motion as well. So for any kind of repeat offenders.